All right, James, here's a look at some slalom free ski. All right, great job. Some good skiing all year. Um, you really like to find the fall line, which is great, and go for it, which is awesome. Love it. A couple things, obviously a couple things you're doing really well. You're clean. You're carving turns. You got okay, turn shape. I see a little bit rounder, but not bad, right? The thing, we've been talking about is need to use a little bit more ankles and knees first. Need to edge the skis from the snow up using ankles and knees, and then we'll move the hip to the inside as our speed warrants it. But you tend to use a lot of like hip angulation as opposed to knees first. So love to see a little more, hard to draw it, knees here and like that, especially in slalom. All right, so you kind of like you edge your skis by just sort of dumping the hip in a little bit, counter rotating and throwing the hip in. Let's think about ankles and knees. A great place to do that is on long john or anything like that, where you can really just go a little slower and simple terrain and just play with it, just using ankles and knees, driving those knees to, as we talked about, if your skis were a clock, to 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., putting big toe down on the outside ski, little toe on the inside, and just rolling them up. This is sort of a, you have your hands sort of, as you finish the turn, drive together. Let's just drive them forward. There's no reason to have them crossing our body like that. We tend to, things can get kind of affected with this kind of almost a clapping motion. I know it's a good turn. I mean, you want to clap, right? But I mean, let's just keep a nice, quiet, disciplined upper body. Nice ankle flexion there, right in front of the boot. You like how it's a matching angle, really, of your back and your shins. That's a great job. Of course, you like to see those hands more in front. We really want elbows in front of the body the whole time. This helps load up the front of the ski more, get in the front of the boot. You do it towards the end of the turn, but keep them out there, the whole time. Your stance width. It's rare that I say to someone, I think we should widen the stance a little bit, but at times you get pretty narrow, and that narrow stance makes it hard to use ankles and knees. Sometimes hard to find the outside ski. We end up being kind of two-footed, skiing on weight on both skis. So I do think, like that stance. So your stance keeps, going in and out. We want to have a consistent width of the skis and feet throughout the entire turn and transition. The entire time. Shouldn't change. I like the width right there. But it's going to continue to, kind of get narrow. And a lot of times it will be, as the feet come under you in the transition, you let them come together, and you just have to work on a consistent width, because if you let them, there's good width there, and all of a sudden they're going to get really narrow right here, transition. So this one starts off pretty tight. And so consistent width, like that width we just talked about, and here again, we're really kind of throwing the hip in to get the skis up on edge, and want to use ankles and knees more, but it's pretty hard with your feet that close together. Like, it's really hard. So like to see a little more of a slightly wider stance and consistent. You do it at times throughout the entire turn and transition. I like to keep a little more quieter and more forward hands, right? And those two things should help you. And the width, consistent, slightly wider width, would allow you better use of ankles and knees as opposed to just hip angulation. So let's try that. But skiing well, and looking forward to this weekend.